Thank you, Megan. I am so excited to be on today and be a part of your podcast. So
Yeah,
thank you.
you're very welcome. Tell everybody what you do and how, what brought you here? What brought you to this podcast?
Well, what brought me to the podcast is we just kind of connected together over social media, became
Mhm.
friends, and like, hey, I've got a podcast. I do too. Let's be on each other's, and we
Yeah.
collaborated. So, yes. So, thank you for that opportunity. But
Mhm.
so, I am a health and wellness coach, specializing in behavior change and nutrition. And I've written 2 books, Discover the Adventure of You and Health Beams. So, and I also have my own podcast, the Radiate Health and Wellness Podcast. So,
Amazing. I love that. And I'm always excited about people who write books because it's one of those things where I'm like, I could write a book. And then I'm like, what would I write about? So tell us. So your most recent book is the Beams book, right?
Health Beams, yes.
The Health Beams. Yes. Tell me more about that book.
So that book I was getting a lot of different questions of how can I really create a life that prevents disease? So that
Mhm.
took me into really researching people that live the longest without disease and are healthy and can, they're 102 and they get up and off of the floor with ease.
Mhm.
So that brought me into really exploring the work done through the blue zones and a few different people that really researched and did the science. But I just really gathered, pulled all of their information. I mean, I even visited some of the different countries and stuff. But so my book, Health Beams, is really focusing on just what does it take to really live a full, long, healthy health span, to focus your life on being healthy and long rather than live till you're 90, but at age 52, you're feeling not so great and like you're just done. So
Yeah.
to just be, yeah, have that energy. So do you want to hear like the beams method, what it's about?
Yeah, tell me everything. But before we go further, because I know I asked you this question when we talked a while back, like when we first met, and you said the blue zones. And I remember thinking, I don't know what the blue zones are. So I'm guessing if I don't know what the blue zones are, there's probably a lot of people like blue zone. I don't know what that is. What is a blue zone?
Yeah, so the blue zones are the top places where it's mostly Dan Buettner that discovered, and he's like a National Geographic guy.
Mhm.
He was looking for the places of people with the most sanitarians. So the people that live to be at least 100 years old.
Mm.
So these zones are, yeah, where those people live. And it's just
Mhm.
the insights that he gathered of how are they living to be so long? Or,
Mhm.
yeah, living so long and being healthy. So
Yeah.
that's the blue zones.
Okay. In my head, that is like Nepal. Or yeah, I'm thinking like certain parts of Asia. Where are the blue zones? I'm positive it's not in America. So,
Well, there is one in America that would be
oh,
in California. It's in a
okay.
society that's led by the Seventh Day Adventist.
Okay.
So there is that one.
Okay.
And there's one in Greece, Italy, off of an island off of Asia. I can't
Okay.
think of all the places right
Okay.
now, but they're a little
Yeah.
scattered everywhere. Yeah.
Okay. So it's not like there's this, it's not then certain sections of the world. It's just smaller communities then.
All of them seem to be small communities, yes,
Okay.
that are a little bit distant from everything else. And that I think has
Okay.
allowed modern dayism to not be a part of their culture, which we are seeing some of that coming in more and more. And it is changing their health. And that's kind of something to look at.
That's really important.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think we hear so much about all the things that we're doing that are making us feel anxious or making us carry extra weight or making us our bodies hurt or they're giving us diseases and we're like, oh yeah, and we just accept it.
Yeah. Well, with me, it's after learning that I had breast cancer, I
Hmm.
wanted to know why I had breast cancer. So that's really kind of what started my whole research. It wasn't anything to do with genetics.
Hmm.
So for my genetic testing, the doctor, counselor told me that it was more than likely due to economical things. So
Hmm.
I started looking at that from the food that I ate, the air that I breathe, the lotions and potions I put into my skin, laundry detergents. What are all the different chemicals that I am bringing into my body that could possibly have
Hmm.
contributed to that cancer? And what can I limit, not use, to be able to prevent a reoccurrence in just a healthier way than taking pharmaceutical drugs for the rest of my life?
Hmm.
So to
Yeah.
me, it was really about causing or preventing the initial cause versus just slapping a band-aid on it. And yeah, just I was told by some doctors, oh, you're
Yeah.
healthy, just keep doing whatever it is that you're doing.
Yeah.
So
No, I really
there was
love
that.
that you took a minute to look at that. And so when you think about the things, how did you decide? Did you start with like, I'm giving up everything and then I'll add things back in? Or was it, I'm going to take one thing out at a time? Or was it, how did you decide what to do?
Each thing's a little bit different. So with
Okay.
food, it was definitely cold turkey. I had heard of all these miraculous cures of people eating nothing but plants and vegetables. So I went
Hmm.
on that strict vegan diet, but that one's been a little bit more of an opposite. I have figured that just that caused me so much stress and that
Hmm.
anxiety, which you're well aware of.
Right. Yeah.
I realized it was doing more harm than good to my body to stress over every single little thing that I ate, but to
Hmm.
allow myself, I call it my 90% rule. So, like, if I go out once a month and there isn't something that fits into that vegan, you know what? I'm open to eating fish. If there's
Hmm.
something that I it's on the menu that just has a little bit of cream,
Hmm.
okay. I mean, but I do keep standards of I'm not going to eat pork, chicken, or beef. That's
Hmm.
kind of the main restrictions. And there was actually one oncologist that I talked to about this, and she was
Yeah.
so supportive of it. And
Yeah.
that made me feel just so much better too. It was, I mean, I have had support coming from holistic doctors, but to have an actual oncologist on board to know the benefits of eating whole foods, a plant-based diet, and so that
Hmm.
was great.
Yeah.
So going back to your question, so the food thing, that was a big change,
Hmm.
and then kind of stepping back a little bit. And then all the other environmental toxins has just been a little bit of learning at a time, learning how to detox what I can't control, and then just learning more and more as far as what are the best natural toothpaste soaps. I've been making my own lotion, just melting down
Hmm.
different like body butter and shea butter and oils and stuff
Yeah.
to so just, can only do so much at a time and just being okay with that.
Yeah, I like that. So is the research that you did for yourself, it sounds like when you were looking at blue zones, that's kind of what led to you that was your journey, what led you to writing your book? Or was that already in the works?
So that led me to, well, because I was getting questions from different clients and stuff. So that led me into more and more research
Hmm.
to really be able to assist people on a bigger scale than just little me, just figuring out what I can do to prevent cancer. So it was giving answers to a lot of people that were searching
Hmm.
how to live that long, healthy health span.
Yeah. So inside the book, is it mostly tips on how to have the healthy lifespan from the things that you're doing, or tell me more about like the meat of the book? Meat, I shouldn't say that, it's not vegan, but the insides, the workings.
So to answer your question, to begin with, so the book, it's not just some ordinary book. It is a workbook.
Yay.
So I do that because I know that you know your body so much better than anyone else. And as being a coach, I know that if I ask the right questions, then you can come up with the right answers that will work for you, and then be able to work through what you've been able to answer. So that's part of the book. That, and I know, I mean, it's just a part of, the law of physics or whatever it is, that what you think about is the first start of manifestation. But once you put your thoughts into action, onto paper, writing that out, it is putting those thoughts into tangible form, which is just part of the process of putting it into your reality. So instead of just reading a book and being like, oh yeah, that's great, I will do that tomorrow. And then, 3 months later, a friend says, hey, I read this book, it's so great. And you're like, oh yeah, I read that book too. And they're asking questions like, oh, so did you, how has it changed your life? Like, oh, well, I was going to do that. And I kind of forgot about that because I got distracted by this and that.
Mhm.
So by really working as a kind of like a journal, I say putting those actions into tangible form to turn into reality sooner.
Yeah.
So that's the workbook. So as far as the beams, it's an acronym.
Mhm.
For B, balanced nutrition. E is enjoyable exercise. A is aloha friends. M, mindful living. And S is sustainable lifestyle. So do you want to hear a little
Love
bit
that.
about
Tell
each of
me
those?
more. Yeah.
All right. So with balanced nutrition, it's just really coming down to what is that correct fuel intake for your body as a vehicle? To really be the guinea pig of your own body, to feel what is nourishment for you.
Mhm.
So, like I explained earlier, with choosing to be 100% vegan, there were some
Mhm.
things I learned didn't work 100% for me.
Yeah.
But I definitely, one balanced diet would be a balanced diet of whole food. So
Mhm.
that's a whole array of colors and vegetables and fruits that are from plants and not from things like Fruit Loops. They're maybe full of
Right.
color, but I don't think they
Right.
should be categorized in the same group as food.
Yeah. I'm glad you
So,
brought that
yeah.
up because not all colors are the same. Yeah. They're not all
No,
created equal.
no. And every single color of real food has different nourishing qualities.
Yeah.
So just to be able to create a balance and feel what works for you. So that's balanced nutrition. E, enjoyable exercise. I mean, just enjoyable, just emphasis on that. So if
Mhm.
you love going to the gym and doing sets of burpees, hats off to you. That's wonderful. That's great. But for the
Good for you.
majority of
Yeah.
us humans, that's not enjoyable. So to just work through, find what brings you happiness. See, I've got my dog Bodie in the back here, if you can see him.
Mhm.
He's what gets me up and going every morning. I can count on him putting his head on my lap and being like, Mom, aren't we going for a walk today?
Yep.
Yes. And that brings me joy to be able to really just have him by my side, my companion. He's my little supporter there,
Aw.
to just go for a walk and be in nature, and just brings me so much into just that time. And it's enjoyable. And then another enjoyable exercise is I like gardening, and that can take a lot of hard work.
Mhm.
But I get, for the hard work, I reap the joy of it, to just go out and pick a fresh tomato or papaya or pineapple, whatever it is, because I'm here in
Mhm.
Hawaii. But I just love that. That just brings me
Yeah.
joy. So find something that you love doing that can be sustainable for a lifetime. That, and one of the things is like, if I can walk at least 3 miles today and yesterday and tomorrow, maybe I'll skip a week. That's okay. I went on vacation,
Mhm.
get back to it. If I keep on doing that today, but I'm 102, I should be able to keep on doing the same thing because I did that the
Yeah.
day before.
Yeah.
So
I love that. That's really, I love that mindset right there, that like I can do it because I've been doing it. And
yes.
yeah, that's amazing. And so often we tell ourselves, well, I guess I'm getting too old for this, too old for this.
Yeah, that's a wonderful excuse for some people.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, aloha friends, that brings me into just having those people that are your roadside assistants you can call on no matter what time of day, rain or shine, and they are there to assist you with whatever it is. It's those people or four-legged creatures like my dog Bodhi here
Mhm.
that get you to go for those walks, or let's go for a hike today, let's go play in the water, whatever it is, to be supportive. And not only I'm talking about exercise, but supportive, to be there when you're really going through something, when you
Yeah.
need somebody to lean on, to just talk to have that connection, those deep conversations
Yeah.
where you don't feel like there's any judgment or anything about what you're saying, that
Mhm.
100% just acceptable. So
Yeah.
aloha friends, and it goes with the energy of aloha, just that whole just love, accepting, taking care of, nurturing energy.
Mhm.
So after aloha friends, mindful living, and I mean, that just kind of describes itself, right? Just be conscious of what
Yeah.
you're doing. When I do the comparison to the vehicle, instead of living your life on autopilot, where I mean, right now it's the end of the year. Like, what did you do this year? Like, oh my gosh, I don't know. You know, got up in
Right.
the morning, had my coffee, went to work, came home, ate
Yeah.
dinner, watched Netflix, went to bed. It's just this autopilot. To get off of that and just start living with intention and with purpose, being mindful of the choices that you're making, the food that you're eating, the thoughts you are thinking. Everything starts with your thoughts. So if you're
Yes.
going through any type of stress or triggers or anything, once you can learn to be mindful, to control
Mhm.
your thoughts, the whole world is yours.
Yeah, for sure. That's a big one.
And then a sustainable lifestyle is really just whatever you're doing, make it sustainable. Like I talked about the walking, it's something I can do. I know it's something I
Mhm.
can do for a lifetime. My way of eating, just a whole foods diet, it's something I feel like I can do for a lifetime. It's not a quick fix fad diet, it's something I'm just
Mhm.
going on for 30 days. While sometimes those type of things might be necessary, to have just a standard, a strong foundation that is sustainable.
Mhm.
So, and then that goes with your body, and yeah. So in the beams method, it all just intertwines. One thing really does
Yeah.
lead to another. And then after each chapter, I have questions, like I said, to really just fully dive deeper into your life and how to apply it. So
And
that's the beams.
yeah, that's amazing. That's like, it's so good because it's so, I mean, specific, yes. Let's talk about how you're moving. Let's talk about what you're eating, but also very broad, where it's not like, no, don't. I think so often when we think about, oh, I want to be able to take care of myself, and I think of the things that I can't do. But you left it so open for people, and just starting with the idea of, you know yourself, and you have options, right? Like you can choose. Are you going to do this, or are you going to do this? And you get to decide.
Exactly. And then after you've done that, well, how do you feel now that you've done that? Is it a good or a
Yeah.
bad thing? And learn from that. Yes.
Yeah, but it was good. But it was in tune. The idea of being mindful with the things that you're choosing, or the things that, like, just really capturing your thoughts in the moment, I think is so important.
Yes, just being conscious, living consciously.
Hmm. Yeah. And when we get to a place, because so often so many of my listeners are, they're stressed out, they're anxious, and like, I'm stressed out and I can't help it. What I do is I grab the Oreo cookies because I'm stressed. And so did I think about it? Yes, I grabbed the Oreos. How would you coach somebody on that? What would you tell them?
Well, it's all up to what happened when they ate the Oreo cookies. Were they able to eat just one? Or was it all or nothing and they just ate the entire box?
Right.
So it's very individualized how I would go with that from the person that just ate one. I mean, that's amazing. Okay, so you felt like just got to have that little treat. How did that work for you?
Yeah.
And then the ones that ate the entire box, well, we go with a different approach of just questioning of what was going on with that and be able to just use a cognitive behavior change, finds something else, that what triggered
Mhm.
it, and yeah, go through all of those modalities.
Yeah, I think it's such a good thing to be able to create that distinction between, yeah, I was mindful, I knew I was eating them. And so was it more of an urge? Was it actual a conscious decision? Or was it your typical habit, which I think is always so interesting on how we go down those paths of this is what I've always done and this is how I ended up this way. Like
So
whatever it
living
is,
on the
like if it's
autopilot.
right, absolutely living on autopilot, which so many of us do. And I think that we have this place where it's like, am I being mindful? Or, are you doing things mindfully, or are you in a routine, or are you in a rut? And I think that there's so many people like, I need to create routines. And I'm like, yes, you do. But they have to be flexible because some of our routines, I feel like we get stuck in ruts. Whereas I think the key, I think it's just the mindfulness component of it, like coming back full circles to the thing that I forgot that I was going to say before. It was really back to that idea of being mindful so that you're not stuck in a rut and calling it a routine.
That's great. And isn't it great that we're forgetting what we're talking about as we're talking about mindfulness?
Right. But at least we're conscious of it.
Exactly.
At least we can edit it all out. Right. I'm going to edit that part out though. Um, but yeah, I do think all of that is so important. And we do, our minds get so full, like mindful versus being mindful, and just recognizing that like this has been my bad habit for so long. When I'm stressed, I grab wine, or when I'm stressed, I snap at my spouse, or whatever it is that we're doing. But that just because it's a bad habit doesn't mean it's a good routine that you're in, and being able to be mindful of these are my reactions and this is what I do. And I just love the foundation that you gave, and that it's not just stop doing this one thing, which has really led me back to that original question that just knowing yourself so well. So yeah, I
Yeah,
think
so you
that's
brought up
fantastic.
being like mindful of all this stuff going on
Hmm.
versus being mindful. And what comes to me, the difference of that is when you're truly being mindful and conscious, you're in the moment. You're
Absolutely.
not worrying or concerned about everything else that is going on. You're just enjoying what is going on right now.
Yeah.
So, yes.
That's such a big deal, which leads back to what we just talked about before we started recording this, when we were talking about all those drones flying around. And I just want everybody, I mean, if that is a place, not that this has anything to do with the topic, but going back to the idea of being mindful, the second that you're thinking about it, it's already in the past tense. And so to stay truly in that moment, you have to be in your body in the moment right now. As soon as you realize that you're not, it's already in the past. And that is a big deal, especially for people who like to punish themselves, or to be
Yes.
really like focused on the future, on like, oh, what if this, what if that? Oop, we're not there yet, or it's already too late. We're just here. And it's just this ever moving thing. And we're doing pretty great. We just have to give ourselves a little bit
Well,
more flexibility and love.
yes, just another huge thing that in my podcast, my books, that
Mm-hmm.
I like to put out to really assist people in doing,
Mm-hmm.
like my number one thing, if I can get out there, is to learn how to tune into your own answers. So if there's, and not just made up, hogwash monkey brainness that's going
Mm-hmm.
on in your mind, but to really get connected with your soul, your true self, and find your own answers from there. So when you're in a state of unknown, who knows what's going on with these drones, if it's something negative or something positive, but whatever happens in the future, to be able to make your own choices that you feel good about, that came from yourself, rather than following another leader that you don't know where their choices came from. Where are they leading you to? Or maybe you feel like they're to make the choice, if you do want to follow them, to really feel that's the right answer for you, is to go with them.
Yeah.
So we can do this all about different types of things. I mean, I just did
Right.
my podcast on traditions and beliefs and talking about just the belief in Santa Claus. And I mean, you can relate this to everything from the thoughts in your head,
Mhm.
people that, just telling yourself, I'm not good enough. It's like, well, where did you hear that thought from? Why are you thinking that? It's not of yourself. And just tune in and find that beauty and that light within you. So,
Yeah, that's so good. And it's so important, whether we're talking about how you're going to take care of your body, how you're going to take care of your mind, how you're going to decide what you do later on in the afternoon, even. Like, what do I know I need? Because we know sometimes we don't like the answer. Like maybe you know that you need to move your body and you're like, but I don't want to. I just want to lay here. I mean, yeah, but right? And getting to that place where you're like, yeah, I know I can, I know what I need and I know that I can do it.
yeah, I totally get you. There are some days where it's like, it's just been raining. I haven't been out, but
Hmm.
more days that I go without really moving my body, it's more like, I don't really want to do that. But yeah, I know deep within I get to do that. And I mean, if it's still raining, pouring, I can't get outside. If I do some yoga inside or just some type of little exercise,
Yeah,
I feel so much better. I'm like a completely
yeah,
different person after. So,
yeah. I
yeah.
love that. That's fantastic. So tell everyone who's listening, who do you work with? How do they get in touch with you? Where can they get your books?
So I work with whoever just feels that calling, that they get to work with me
Hmm.
to really allow me to be their coach, whether it's finding what are your values, your beliefs. Are you working with nutrition, dieting, and really get to have a coach to assist you in being your own guinea pig and trying different things and just asking the right questions. Well, how did you feel with that? I mean, physically, mentally, spiritually, everything.
Hmm.
And it goes into, yeah, just different things with relationships. But really, I coach people into tuning into your own answers, knowing what works for you that can be sustainable for your life. So as
So
far
good.
as my books, they're available. My book, Discover the Adventure of You, that one we didn't really talk much about. It's really, that was my first book. It goes into just gratitude practices, finding your
Mm.
beliefs, going through your child memories, finding that inner child within you, having a discussion with that person. Um, Relationships, your relationship with food. I mean, there's so many things that are in this book, and it's really just self-discovery, discovering who you are. Because I've had so many people ask me, I just want to know who I am.
Mm. Yeah.
So if you're there, you're ready to dive deep, go into Amazon, Books and Noble. I mean, that one is like on all the major book platforms. My other book, Health Beams, that one I did just launch on Amazon, self-publish it. So it is only available on Amazon. You can
Okay.
also get more information on both my books on my website, radiatehealthandwellness.com. And also on my website, I have posted different recipes just to assist you in eating a little bit healthier, and blog posts and creating a healthier lifestyle. And there's also links there for to schedule a free consultation with me, to contact me, ask me questions. So you can also contact me, get a hold of me on, Facebook, Instagram, whatever it is. My email is probably the easiest, because I know that there's people out there that have questions that are deep that they don't feel confident about putting onto Facebook or somewhere where other
Yeah.
people can see their comments. So if you have just a really deep, intriguing question, just email me, radiate.hw@gmail.com.
I love that. I will make sure to put all of those links in the show notes so that everyone listening can find them. They can get your books. They can get in touch with you however it is that works best for them. Thank you
Yes.
so much for joining me today.
Oh, you're welcome.
I loved
So
it.
great to
I
be
loved it.
on.
So good.
And yes. And you were on my podcast too, Radiate Health
Yeah.
and Wellness Podcast. So this has been great getting to know each other and being each other's
Yes.
guests. So
So
yes.
fun. I always love it. Podcasting world is wild. It's good. Like I've met so many interesting people. It's been fantastic. So thank you, thank you, thank
Absolutely.
you.
Yeah.